Specifically this year they've said it's World Work for Peace in Palestine and Israel. God bless the United Church of Canada. We live in a hopeful place. I'm assuming by the end of the week we will have peace. At least we know we're going to work on it. That's what we're going to talk about and sing about today. Okay. So, thank you for Roncy Jam and all of these lovely people and the Sit and Sing Circle for being here to lead us in some music. We're going to start with two pieces this morning, and the first one is O River.
And this is one of our favorite songs in the Sit and Sing group. We sit and sing after the services just because we love it, not necessarily because we're any good at singing. But we love singing, and we love singing with meaning. And this O River song, we often replace the word river with people's names in the group. So it might be Penny who's here. We say, "Oh Penny, I hear you, feel you calling me." But we haven't got time to do everybody's name in the congregation. So we're just going to do O River. And river is a metaphor of such power, spiritual power. Some people call it the river of time. Some people call it the river of consciousness, but we're definitely in a river, and we are in this river now, and won't be forever. And we weren't there before, or were we?
Tim, do you want them to stand?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a sing-along, so you'll look, it's very easy to learn.
Nancy, can you teach us how to do the two pieces? Because there's two parts, right?
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
We'll sing.
Away.
this next song is something that is a dream of mine. I saw Dan, would you come up? Who's a dance instructor on Wednesday nights here. If anyone wants to learn to dance, he's your guy. And I saw him dance. His clients hadn't turned up, and so he was dancing on his own. And I said, "Who are you dancing with, Dan?" And he was confused by my question. And I remembered the Sting song where he talks about the women in Chile who every Saturday they go and dance in the square with their missing husbands and their missing sons and brothers. And he wrote this song. They're dancing with their husbands, they're dancing with their sons, they're dancing with the invisible ones. They're dancing with the dead. And it's such a powerful song. And then I realized that this space we are here, way before we were born, like before 100 years ago, before 1,000 years ago, before 2,000 years ago, maybe 15,000 years ago, people were dancing here. And they were dancing for 7 generations. You've heard that, haven't you, that phrase? So they were holding in their dance, they were holding us by the hand. So I thought we could sing a song. It's called 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. I don't know whether Dan does that to help his people learn the waltz.
I do.
You do? The Viennese waltz, he calls it, I think,
Yeah.
because it's faster than the other one. And so the idea is that we all take in our hand a child of the future. So you can do that in your pew, but even better to come up here and dance like Dan was. Apparently with nobody, but actually with these children of the future. We could be a circle dance, or you could dance a waltz. So, who's going to come up? So, Dan,
Yeah.
you can't actually dance with your wife. You have to dance with somebody in the future.
Oh.
And so do you, Kat.
Oh. I'll do that in 2 seconds.
Okay.
I'll dance with my wife.
He's going to show us how to do it. Two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Before we were born, this dance was begun. In these times of uncertainty, doubt, fear, and greed, we dance willingly, naively. Dance with the future and hold in our hands 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1.
Before we were born, this dance was begun.
Thank you so much to everyone who sang, to everyone who danced, to everyone who sang along, and everyone who's just here. Thank you, guys. I married the two of them, and I've always thought, oh, the reason they're such a beautiful couple is because of that. No, it's clearly because you dance together. So there you go. We're going to do the passing of the peace. This is an ancient Christian tradition. It's a simple way of acknowledging that we don't walk through the life of this path of life or spiritual growth alone. We do it with other people. So I say the peace of God be with you. You call back and also with you. Then you stand up. Well, we'll stand you up first, and you just say hi to the people who are traveling with you today. Super easy. So everybody up. And I'm going to shout out the peace of God be with you. Nicely done. Turn around. Say hi to the people you're traveling with today.
Peace, yo. Peace.
And then you can be seated because we've got so many announcements today. Here we go. I have so many people to thank today and to recognize today because there's been so much going on today. First of all, I'm going to single out mostly Sarah and the beautiful Joan, I'm on flea market. Kathy and Mac. Different group of amazing contributors. Our flea market ended for the season yesterday. There were so many vendors. Mac and Kathy spent Friday figuring out where could they squeeze in one more table. Now the reason there are so many vendors is that people love to come and sell their stuff here because they know that the community loves to come and shop here, and they know that the vibe is going to be beautiful and they're going to be made welcome. So thank you guys for creating beautiful community events every month this summer, and woohoo that you made it through yesterday with I think 77 vendors. Something? Huge number. Huge number. Oh no, that's for arts and crafts. Huge number.
Yeah.
I just
So-
wanted to say one thing that Kim told me about. She was just saying she was so struck, by the flea market because the flea market vendors have become such friends with each other. Like I always wanted to just say to another, well, thank you for being such a great partner because they help each other. Someone's a little loose, someone wants to get a coffee or whatever. And people were all saying to each other, well, see you next year. And Kim said, just like sauerkraut. It's a really good feeling. So I'm hoping next year you all come out and volunteer. I was the first time volunteer. I hope she enjoyed herself, although we worked her very hard. It is a physical job that we do. Like we get the tables and the chairs out and everything. So it's part of that, but it's a lot of fun, and it is a great event. So thanks,
It is indeed a great event. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Matt. So I also want to say thank you to the Kinship Circle and you guys who made beautiful music on Friday night. So many people came out to hear Patty Krolick with our partnership book launch with Another Story bookstore up the street. It was such an interesting evening. Patty was so happy to be here. She requested to have her book launch here. And so way to go every single person who either came or made that possible. I also want, where's mine? Okay, I have left out the book sale somehow. Way to go book sale, people! Don't know where that slide went. Don't not know where that slide went, and I'm so sorry. You guys again did a magnificent job. So many hands helped. I was out on the street during the Polish Festival last weekend doing stuff, and Jennifer was there all day Sunday. Anne was there Saturday. Anne was there all day Sunday. So many other people came and helped sell. Way to go. Thank you. It was another tremendous community event, because that's what we're about. The Kindred Kitchen is our group downstairs that are making our meal for our meal program even as we speak. They are doing a food drive between now and Thanksgiving, and we will post on our website the things they most want. So it's not a food drive to give like bags of food out to people. It's a food drive so that they can keep feeding people downstairs. So they're going to ask for things like rice and lentils and things like that. Check the website and come next week and we can tell you more about it. Or just bring some non-perishable food. Sunday school begins. Yay! Welcome back, Julia. Hey, Julia. And we have with us a new Sunday school teacher, Jeannie. Yay, Jeannie! So very briefly, Jeannie's background is that she grew up Quaker and United Church of Canada. She is now a practicing Buddhist with the Plum Village tradition. Now, if any of you know the work of Thich Nhat Hanh, incredible Buddhist writer, that's his tradition. Jeannie is going to be doing mindfulness with the kids, the same kind of things as Julia does, giving them a sense of belonging, giving them a sense of being valued. That's what our Sunday school is about. We want our kids to grow up knowing that this is a place where they are nurtured and valued. So we're so happy to have you with us, both of you, and we look forward to a great year. Ways we love the world. I know the book sale was Ways We Love the World, and the flea market is Ways We Love the World, and the Country Kitchen is Ways We Love the World. And last weekend we ran a 2-day festival of Indigenous lacrosse, which was definitely a way we love the world. There is going to be, we had a videographer, so there will be a highlight reel coming that I hope to be able to show to you next Sunday, because it was like amazing beginning to end. But there were a couple things that people would not have seen if you came on the Saturday or if you came on Sunday. Go Bears, by the way. Go Bears. Who was here on Sunday? Like, go Bears. We did play lacrosse. We didn't play lacrosse. There was a lacrosse game played in this church sanctuary, Bears against Wolves. It was so fun. But the things you may not have seen, I'm just going to lift up 2 of them. One was, a number of weeks ago, I asked if people could donate their driveways to this program because we had a lot of participants coming from out of town. It's Polish Festival. We needed them not to have the stress of looking for a place to park when they arrived. Jennifer, God bless her, came up to me after and said, listen, I'm going to go to the High Park Club over on Indian Road and ask them if they might give us parking passes for the 2 days. And they did. So that's an unseen piece of hospitality that really made such a difference for our program and for our participants. They felt well cared for. And then we did provide snacks and meals, but on Sunday, David Todd did the lunch for all of our participants in the middle room. And I would have put stuff on a table. David put stuff on tables that had tablecloths in medicine wheel colors. He had flowers on the tables in the same colors. He had sage on the table and cedar on the table to honor the traditions of our participants. They noticed. They felt so seen, and they did feel honored. There were so many small things that David brought in terms of hospitality that made a difference to how our participants felt being in this space. This program was not just about showcasing Indigenous lacrosse and learning from it. It wasn't just about watching the Bears beat the Wolves. It was about the feeling of appreciating those who had not been appreciated, including those who have not been included, and valuing those who have not been valued. So thank you for the small ways that you guys did that. We do that with all of our programs, and we will always continue to do that. So good on us, like seriously. Okay, we have a kids song today. We have been doing songs because Randall says we are underdanced, and he is right. So when the moment comes up for our kids to go spend time with Julia and Jeannie, we've been doing a song. I was trying to think what song would be good today as we just start our Sunday school program, and I thought, well, it makes me tremendously happy that people are here. So we got a couple young people in our midst. Do you guys want to go stand there? And our couple of young people, if you're a little one, Kaya would be going with Julia. Nothing better than that. And equally good is going with Jeannie. So if you want to go with Jeannie, you are very welcome to do that, either now or during the thing. Otherwise, you've got to stand here, stay here, and listen to me. I give you all time to weigh that out, okay? Like all of you. Okay, before you guys go, we're going to do our song. Don't leave, we're going to do our song. Everybody up, we're going to do our kids' song. We're going to dance them out. Here we go.
Dance it up.
Pump it up, Jennifer.
Happiness is the truth. Good morning. My name is Penny, and we are the RUC Jam Factory and the Sit and Sing Circle combined. And our fearless leader is Tim Caswell. This next song that we're going to do is a song of Tim's that was inspired by the writer Arundhati Roy from her words in one of her books, Another World is Coming. And it basically speaks about the reality and the truth that we must all continue to dream, that there is a world of peace coming, especially here on International Peace Day and Peace Week. And also the fact that this community, this church, is a place where that is nurtured and where that happens. Another world is coming. She is on her way. When I listen very carefully on a quiet day, I can feel her yearning. I can see her and believe. When the evening tide is turning, I can hear her breathe.
Come on, Pilar.
Listen, I can hear her. When I close my eyes, I see her. Deep within my heart, I know what it is to be her. I can feel her yearning. I can see her and believe. When the evening tide is turning, I can hear her breathe. Another world is coming. She is on her way. I can hear her breathing on a quiet day.
Thanks, guys. That was beautiful. So today I want to talk about happily ever after. I don't even need to know if everyone has heard those words before. You've all heard those words before, right? They come from fairy tales. They come from the stories that we heard as we grew up, as our parents read to us. Maybe we watched Disney movie, they always ended with this idea of happily ever after. And I believed that until I was probably like 15 and someone said to me, yeah, how do you think Cinderella feels about the prince when he stays out later than he said and the dinner is ruined? I'm going, yeah, right. Happily ever after started when it hit reality to feel like something that maybe was just a story. Just a story. Now hear me say those words, just a story. Because nothing is just a story. Stories actually have a lot of power. Stories have a lot of influence over us. A lot of things that we hold as our opinions come from a story. I'm going to talk about that today in terms of peace, in terms of love, in terms of the difficult moment we find ourselves in the world, because the world is very chaotic right now. The world feels very mean-spirited right now. It feels like the story that is being told of humankind right now is one of darkness, one of opposition to each other, one where happily ever after is indeed just a story. But before we get into this, I think we should play a game, okay? Why not? It's time to play, okay? Time to play buy it or don't buy it, okay? You're not making a purchase. What I want to know is I'm going to put up some things on the screen. Do you buy this story? Do you not buy this story? Okay, you ready? Here, our first one is, do you buy it or not buy it? Wearing socks with sandals is wrong and should rightly expose you to ridicule. Who buys that? Hello. Buy it. Who's not buying it? Who's not buying it? Okay, I will include my daughter, who when she traveled throughout Europe and Asia, said that this was the only practical thing to do. Okay? You know, because otherwise you had to carry shoes, you had to carry boots. She said the socks with the sandals is the end result of somebody who's really thought through their choices of what's going in their backpack, okay? So, but I saw kind of that was evenly, okay? So, okay, you're going to buy it or not buy it? If my city's sport team wins the championship, it makes my cities better than others. Who buys it?
Buy it.
You're buying it, Bev? Who's not buying it? Okay, my wife, Liz, does not want to hear from any of you. Okay. She has explained to me over and over that if the Jays win, I don't know, what do they win? World Series. Don't tell her I just did that. Or the Leafs win, whatever that is they win. That makes Toronto better than other places. Okay? The only thing I have learned is that anytime she mentions any team that we're playing against, if I say, oh, we hate them, she looks at me like she just loves me more and that I get sports. Okay? You know? So I saw that there are more people who don't buy this story, okay, than who buy it. But I'm going to say, if the Jays win the World Series, I think we're all part of us is going to buy it. Right? We're going to buy that story. We're better. Okay, people who have more money than me have too much money. Anyone buy this one? Yeah. Anyone not buy this one? Really? Okay, because I always have this feeling like anybody who has more money than me has way too much money, and I have just barely enough. That's where I am. Okay, I have enough. But anyone who has more than me has too much money. And I'm sure that anyone who has less money than me is thinking anyone who has more than them, including me. Does that make sense? But this is my story, and I stick to it, and I feel I can reasonably judge anybody who has more money than me. But I have barely enough. This is my story. Okay, so I saw more people not buying this one, which means you are more spiritually evolved than I am, which means you could probably stand up here instead of me any Sunday you want. Okay, here we go. Unless you share my opinions, we cannot be friends. You're buying that one? Who's buying that one? Who's not buying that one? Who's not buying it but they find it hard? Yeah, hello. I mean, we think of our closest friends who tend to be people who share our opinions, okay? We think of our family who we think are supposed to, just support us endlessly, be on the same page of us, just help us live better in the world. And when our family does not share our opinions, there's something wrong there, right? We all of a sudden, we don't buy this. How can they be my family if they don't share the same opinions as I do? I ran up against that in my family recently. I had to step back and go, wow, can I still, be close to my brother in Atlanta, you've heard him before, if he thinks so differently than I am. I think this is a hard one. It makes us uncomfortable, this one, right? So in our friendships, can we allow ourselves to be friends with somebody if they don't share the same opinion? I think this is just a super good one to think about. Either you're for me or against me. I don't even need a picture for this. Who buys this? Who doesn't buy it? Really? Okay. Think about that one as we go along. This wouldn't be happening if you were more like me. You're buying it? I'm not even asking you anymore, okay? I'm just going to let you sit with these things. Okay? Who's been in a romantic relationship? Okay? This problem we're having would not be happening if you would just be more like me. Who's lived in a society? This problem we're having with Indigenous people would not be a problem if they were more like us. Okay? Let's expand that a little bit. Let's look at the people who have anti-immigrant march at Christie Pitts. This problem, this anger we're feeling, this difficulty we're feeling wouldn't happen if you just thought the way I do. Whoa, it becomes really challenging, doesn't it? The stories become more challenging. My story is you need to think like I do so that we can have peace. It's a difficult story. I am uncomfortable. If I'm uncomfortable, there's something wrong. Buying it or not buying it. A lot of us buy it. I know, buy it. Don't buy it. Well, I'll tell you, this was the one that I struggled with this week. If I am uncomfortable, then there's something wrong. Okay? And I'll tell you, it fed into a lot of the other ones. It fed into the, if I'm uncomfortable, there's something wrong. The thing that's wrong is you should be more like me. And you either think the way I do, or you're against me. All of those things kind of came together for me. Those stories came together for me this week. Brace yourself. When I heard about the death of Charlie Kirk. Anyone doesn't know who Charlie Kirk is, he is an American. He dedicated his life to spreading hate. He would not characterize it that way. We characterize it that way. He would characterize it as keeping people who look like me safe. Okay? Giving people who look like me a good life. That's how he would characterize it. He would characterize it as, I deal with fear by having you all be more like me, by only people like me being acceptable. That's how he would characterize it. We, probably, most of us here, absolutely characterize it by hate. But my problem was not Charlie Kirk this week. My problem was me. Because when I was driving my car and I heard that Charlie Kirk had been shot, my first thought was, oh, yay. Oh, yay. Yeah, there goes hate in the world, right? And then I had to pull myself up short and say, what is my story here? What story am I buying into? Because I wasn't buying into a story that was consistent with the stories that I choose to live by. I grew up on fairy tales, like everyone else, which were incredibly helpful. The pieces that I loved in those fairy tales, though, were not the happily ever after, which I think I was always suspect of. The pieces that I loved in fairy tales was the overcoming of adversity. There was always an overcoming of adversity, right? Usually it was a hero, but often I would find these wonderful stories where it was the heroine. There would be something standing in the way of them having that happily ever after. They would find the courage in themselves. They would find the strength in themselves. They would overcome this adversity, and that's when they got their happy ending, and I loved that. And I also grew up on the stories of the Bible. My family were regular Bible goers. They were Baptist Bible goers, which means the way to heaven is to memorize every single verse in the Bible. Believe me, that was a real thing. I always just thought how lonely it would be in heaven. And then I thought, well, the only person in heaven is the person who actually memorized all of those verses, so no one wants to be with them anyway. That was not popular with my Sunday school teacher. But the stories in the Bible were very similar to the fairy tales. They were people who had something standing in the way of fulfillment, of happiness, of peace, of a good life. And they had to find in themselves strength. They had to find in themselves endurance. They had to find in themselves resilience. They had to find in themselves a path forward through this adversity which would allow them to live in a better place. Every story of the Bible is like that. None of them shy away from being uncomfortable. all of them are about facing difficult situations and struggling. Anyone who points to the Bible and says, oh, it's about happy people hasn't read the Bible. It's not. It's about people who are lost. It's about people who are frightened. It's about people who are struggling. It's about people who don't know the next way ahead, but they hold to this idea that we can change and grow and we can walk towards a better future. Over and over, told in every possible way in this book, which I think is why it's endured this long. Like the heroes of my stories, they say that the way we're going to change the world is to change yourself. And so here I was in my car hearing about the death of this man, Charlie Kirk, and I didn't do that. I didn't think, what is it in myself that needs to change? I thought the problem is out there, the problem is him, the problem is people like him, there's one gone, yee-hee, woo! And you know the problem with that? Well, A, I'm a Christian minister, I should fall back on my stories immediately, but the problem with that is that does not bring you peace. Does not bring you peace. Doesn't give you a happily ever after. It simply deepens the divide between us. It deepens the divide between us, which brings us more fear. Brings us more fear. So I had to take time over this week and go back to the stories of the world that I believe I want to live in and the world that I trust is going to get me to a better place. And all of that world tells me I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I have to be prepared to listen to people who come from a different place in their opinions. I have to be prepared to see the humanity in every single person, no matter how much their story is different than mine, no matter how much the story they're bringing to the world is different than mine. I do not need to be complicit, but I need to understand that we are all living from a story. We are all trying to find a happy ending to the story we've been taught. We are all trying to find our way to peace, our way to prosperity, our way to safety by living out some story that someone taught us about how we get there. And if that story is one of destruction and hate, well, you're going to see what happens. But I can come back to the stories of the Bible that echo my fairy tales and say, no, this is about me becoming stronger. This is about me becoming more peaceful. This is about me overcoming the obstacle in myself, which says, if I'm uncomfortable, someone else has to change. And that brings me to these two guys, Havel and Chris. Havel and Chris. I returned to this story, which I'm going to share with you now, because it encapsulated how I felt in the moment when I was glad that another human being had been shot. And it helped me move forward to a way that was more peaceful and more useful within myself by remembering this story. So this is Havel, and that's Chris. Here's their separate stories. Havel grew up in Syria, where he was member of a minority group, a minority religious group. When the Syrian uprising took place, the Syrian genocide, some say, took place, his family was dragged out of their home. One evening, his father was thrown into jail. His mother was beaten in front of him. His family was displaced to the streets until sometime later when his father managed to get out of jail. They're not even sure how that happened. And the family paid someone to get them into Germany. In Germany, they went into a refugee camp where they spent 3 or 4 years filling out forms to try to get to any country that would take them, knowing that at any moment they could be deported right back to Syria, where they would be killed. So 3 years of extreme uncertainty, 3 years of knowing that they were not valued where they were, and 3 years of wondering what the future held. Their family eventually was settled in the United States, in the southern United States, just outside Atlanta. It's called the Ellis Island of Syrian immigration because for some reason they just threw all the Syrian refugees who came there for a while. The family was terrified. He was the only one who was able to quickly pick up the language. He was about high school age by then. his mother and father tried to get work and were unable to. He supported the family by working as a dishwasher. But a couple of things happened. One was a local church heard the story of the family who had arrived now some months ago, went down to the restaurant where he was working, pulled him out of the kitchen, said, how can we help? They found better housing for the family, they provided furniture for the family, and the church walked alongside that family to help them learn English and to give them the resources that they needed, and things began to improve. And then something else happened. Havel had mentioned to a few people that he was interested in being a doctor, but he said, it's just a story I tell myself that this is possible. Well, a professor from Emory University happened to hear about this story, came to find Havel, and found a way to help him become a medical doctor. When Havel graduated and started working as a doctor, he found that people came to him with a story. They were happy to have him do a diagnosis. They were happy to have him prescribe the medications they need and treat their wounds. But their story was that there was something lesser about him, something to be suspicious about him. He said, if I met them in an examination room, they wanted to hear what I had to say. If I met them on the street, they thought I was the enemy. He loved the States. That was his story. And he wanted to bring the story of how people who immigrate to the United States can have gratitude for that place. So he began looking for every opportunity to go and speak to people. And originally he spoke to people who wanted him to come. It would make sense, right? But then he found he was speaking to people more and more who were prepared to hear uncomfortable stories. People who were brave enough and had strength enough to listen to an uncomfortable story. The story of how his family had struggled. The story of the ways in which they had not been accepted. The stories in which their story, someone once said to them, mirrored the Pilgrim Fathers, escaping persecution to try to find a better world. He said the more he talked to people who didn't want to hear his story, but who brought themselves bravely to that anyway, more he found that they had common ground. And then someone said, well, if you really think you've made any headway, if you really think that people are hearing your story and changing theirs, you got to meet Chris Buckley. And so he did. And this is Chris. Now, if you've seen a picture of Chris that was full, you'd see Chris is covered with tattoos. Chris grew up in the southern states as well, not too far away from where Havel was at that time. After 9/11, Chris joined the army and went to Afghanistan on 3 different tours. He says that while in Afghanistan, when they did target practice in the army, they often shot at Muslim targets, pictures of Muslim people, to help them understand that this was the enemy and to desensitize them to the idea that these were human beings. Chris had grown up in a family that was abusive. His father was alcoholic. He had been taught that the reason that they couldn't succeed was because black people take all the jobs, that homosexuality was a sin, and that anyone who didn't look like you simply shouldn't be there. We've heard those stories, haven't we? And those are the stories that Chris brought with him. So when Havel was told that he should meet Chris, Havel just sent an email. Said, hi, Chris. Someone said we should talk. How are you doing today? And Chris responded. Chris, who was in the middle of an opioid addiction, Chris, who was in the middle of anger and hatred, Chris, who had come back to the United States, had broken all of his relationships, was living by himself, alone, unable to talk to people, responded and said, my day is okay. What are you doing New Year's Eve? I'm just staying home. Is it spring where you are yet? Because you're one town over. And this went on for months. And then eventually they began, as people do, to have longer conversations by email. And Havel told him about his work in small ways. Chris told him about his fears in small ways. And then a couple years later, they actually met. And both of them were terrified. But what happened as they met that first time and in the months that succeeded that was that Havel and Chris found out that they both loved something the same. They both loved their country. They both loved the United States. They just had different stories about what that could look like. And they had different stories fed to them about who the other person was. Havel and Chris both will tell you that their discussions were sometimes uncomfortable But what made it possible was that if they came from a different story and a different place, they agreed, I won't talk you out of your story. I will listen to where it echoes your pain. I'll say that again. I won't talk you out of your story. I'm going to listen to where it echoes your pain. Most of our stories these days are based on fear, aren't they? Some of those stories are fed to us by government or religion. Make no mistake, governments and religions throughout time have found fear a tremendously useful story to sell, a tremendously useful tool to use. The idea of creating a story of fear is based on the reason you don't have a good life is that person there. The reason you don't feel good about yourself is them people there. The reason you got to vote for me is because I'm going to solve all your problems, because I'm going to get rid of your fear. And isn't it ironic that those are the governments who create the most? There's no question that fear is an incredibly useful tool in religion. We've been using it for centuries. You don't do it my way. You don't believe my way. You don't worship my way. You're all going to hell. It's a really good tool. Fear is a tool that you can use to control people until people realize, and some of us do, that fear is just a story. It's just a story. I remember years ago watching the Truth and Reconciliation hearings that the United Church of Canada, that the Government of Canada did. They were hard to watch. I don't know if any of you did. They were hard to watch because it was story after story after story after story of pain, of people who had felt devalued, of people who had been devalued. It was story after story after story of people saying, this is what your story of being better, of being right, of how I should be like you, this is what your story created in my life. This is the story that was created about me. It was hard and uncomfortable to watch. But my goodness, hearing those stories made all the difference for us. I believe it was one of the bravest things, most courageous things any government did, saying, we want to live more peacefully, we want to live more prosperously together, we want to live more fairly together, so we need to walk through this to change our story, to hear each other's story, to understand each other's story, which echoes our pain. And it echoed ours too. But what we know from having being in this place now is that when you realize that it's just a story we told ourselves of how other people weren't enough or how I was not enough, when we get to the other side of that story and realize that's all it is, and we can create something that teaches us a better and more useful way. And the story that we tell ourselves here is, yes, Indigenous spirituality has the same pride of place, the same usefulness as our spirituality. Yes, having an author like Patty Croat can happen in a church. Somebody on Friday night called this a dangerous place because we are taking on the story of Christian exclusionism. Yes, we can deal with that discomfort, and we can find that if we can live into that discomfort, it changes our story. If we don't push it away with fear, if we don't push it away with blaming others, if we don't push it away with the story that if you will change, I will be better off, if we can live into the place where we need to grow and find our own strength and trust in God, we can live into a better story. And then, yes, we can play Indigenous lacrosse in a church sanctuary. Woohoo, so much fun, go Bears.
Thank you, Anne.
God bless you, Bev. I'm not done, Bev. I am still talking. I know they're all thinking the same thing as you, Bev. I'm almost done. There is a line in the Bible in Psalm 25, and it says, the Lord is my light and my salvation, and I will trust in God. And what that means is seeing the oneness of creation, understanding that we are simply love and we are here to love. Understanding that the stories we put up as barriers to love are not helpful and that it's only fear that keeps us from letting those stories go. The idea is that love of God and oneness and being pulled through those uncomfortable places to be able to see that we have nothing to fear is our light. It brings the light of awareness of our oneness to the world and to us. And it is our salvation. It's what will save humankind. Because it isn't through having the same opinions that we're going to find our happily ever after. We may never have the same opinions. It's understanding that our opinions are just stories, and we can change them, and we can find something better, and we can listen to others and understand where their story was formed. Chris and Havel not only have a documentary about them, but they now travel everywhere around the world talking about how they forged a friendship, not based on having the same ideas, but sharing the same plan of wanting to be together, even though they did not always see the world through the same lens. Sharing their pain allowed them to understand that we're all afraid, that we're all living in pain, that we all have a story. So as I reflect on my reaction to Charlie Kirk, I realize that I don't want that story that says, if you don't have the same opinion as me, I feel like you're not bringing the same things to the world as me, you deserve to die. I don't want that story. I don't want that story of us against them. I don't want that story of you're for me or you're against me. And I don't want that story of if I'm uncomfortable, you have to change or something has to change. I want the story that's biblical. This discomfort is sent to tell me something. This discomfort is sent to show me something. This discomfort is sent to teach me something. And through Charlie Kirk's death, I want to be grown into deeper understanding, into seeing that person as a human who loved his family, who believed his story was going to bring about a better world. Not that I'm ever going to agree with that, but I don't want to let fear keep me from acknowledging that we're trying to do the same thing, because that's where I find my way to peace. And that's different than I think a happily ever after. We're going to walk out into this world. We're going to want to live into that biblical idea that we are one, that all is love. And you know what? That's more than a story to me. It's the place where all good in my life has come. Because I know that my story is we are love. We may have barriers of fear, but we can have to have those removed. We can have the strength and courage to be uncomfortable, to see the humanity in someone that we think should not exist or simply be more like us. We can live in those uncomfortable places, and we can be grown. We can do that desert walk. We can find our way forward together. Our happily ever after may not come, and it certainly won't come from having the same opinions as others. But you know what helps me? What helps me is another quick story from the Bible. It's one of Joshua who wrestled with angels, Jacob who wrestled with angels, and who found grace from God. And Jacob, before he left the place where he had been wrestling with these ideas, built a little cairn, he put some rocks down, and he said, I want to remember the stories that remind me that God is here, that I am being companioned, that this is a walk that I must take, and that being uncomfortable does not mean that I'm not on the right path. And so I leave you with this guy. This is Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Okay, he is proof that the story that white guys can't say smart things is not true. Because he said this: above all, we're going to trust in the slow working of God. We're impatient in everything to reach it out without delay. I want peace now. I want everybody acknowledging oneness now. But if I skip the intermediate stages, if I'm impatient of being on the way to something unknown, we are impatient of being on the way to something unknown and something new. And yet it is the law of progress that is made by passing through the stages of instability. And it may take a long time. And so I think it is with you. Our ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste, and don't try to force them on. As though you could be today what time, that is to say, grace and circumstances acting on your own goodwill will make of you tomorrow. Only God can say what this new spirit is gradually forming without you. Give our Lord the benefit of believing that his hand is leading you, and accept the discomfort of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete. You can't force people to love or be who you are. or value the things you do, or see the world as the story that you do. But we can trust that God, bringing love to this moment, helping us to grow into love, helping us to see the oneness in each other, helping us to acknowledge the places where we are the same, not to be complicit, but to be compassionate, is slowly bringing this world to a new place. And then the happily ever after becomes something, I think, which is greater. It becomes the peacefully ever after. And for that, for this long, difficult walk, for those moments of discomfort, for those painful pieces of growth, and for the trust I put in the love that we are and the love that we're given, I say, thanks be to God.
Hello. Building on that reflection about what is happening in the States, we went back and looked at one of those great songs from the 60s, which you'll all recognize. It has a refrain. Stop, wake up, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. So we can all sing that, can't we? We can all shout it. And we wrote, what we do in the Sit and Sing group is we rewrite the songs so that they say exactly what we want them to say. So we've taken some of Buffalo Springfield's words, which we liked, but we've added 3 verses of our own and mixed them up together because, as Anne was saying, when the going gets tough, you know that phrase, the tough get going. When the going gets tough like this, what is needed is people who dare to be a different world, dare to dance with the situation. Like the 2 guys, Chris and Havel, began to dance with each other, a slow dance, and it changed everything for them and inspired other people. This church, with all of that's happening in here, is a place where people come together and listen to each other with different opinions and deal with the discomfort. So I invite you to recognize there's something happening here in the world, and there's something happening here in our world. I don't know whether you've got all the words coming up, do they? Oh, great. There's something happening here. This is becoming clear. There's some guys with guns over there telling me that I've got to beware. Stop, wake up, what's that sound? Everyone look what's going down. The going is gonna get tough. The journey is gonna get rough. But a simple belief is enough. Believe in the power heart and soul. A world that is healed and whole. We gotta stop, wake up, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia's endemic, sapping life from the soul. Fear is becoming systemic. It's how those in power keep control. So we gotta stop, wake up, look around, everybody look what's going down. When we take courage, we give it. The dreams that we dream do appear. Truth is how we choose to live, and love is stronger than fear. So let's stop, wake up, look around, everyone look what's going down. Stop, wake up, look around, everyone look what's going down. Let's sing it once more. Stop, wake up, look around, everyone look what's going down.
Source of love, source of life, God, by whatever name we call you and however we experience you in our individual lives, here are the prayers of the people today. We say a prayer for the family and friends of Peter, a dear friend of Catherine Durrell, as they all mourn his loss. We pray for Cece as she plans to move to Peterborough. May she find good work and a safe, comfortable place to live. We ask for comfort, health, and well-being for Darlene Aiken and Lorna Luke. We pray for the Sherman, Ness, and Ashley family, for medical autonomy for Amy and clarity for Rebecca. We ask for strength for Diane as she copes with memory issues. May she be open to care from those around her. We ask a prayer for strength and clarity for David's friend Paul and for Carolyn. We say a prayer for Jean. Please know you are missed. May you be happy in this great beyond. We say a prayer for Reverend Ann's family who have been mourning the loss of her nephew Kyle. Help her family to find comfort in mutual support in the care of friends. We ask for peace for Margaret as she transitions from this life to the next. Higher power, please care for Loretta's great-granddaughter Renee as she recovers from a virus. We ask for peace of spirit for Kiki. We ask a prayer of comfort for Sid's brother-in-law Paul as he deals with declining health in hospital. Give strength to his family as they work to support him. On this, the Sunday for peace, we ask the eternal spirit for a just peace everywhere, for the fair resolution of all grievances, disputes, and wrongs that allows us to set aside our egos to make way for true reconciliation and a lasting peace, remembering that none of us are free until all of us are free. And finally, our God, we offer to you the names and concerns we have not spoken here, but which we hold in our hearts. And we take a moment of silence now to share these with you. We make these prayers confident that your love endures in all lives, now and forever. Amen.
Please stand for our blessing benediction. I want to leave you with the words of Mr. Rogers and Chris Buckley. Chris Buckley said, "It's really hard to hate someone once you get to know them well." And Mr. Rogers said, "When you know someone's story, it becomes easy to love them." So let's go out into the world. Let's go with the daring and the tender love. Let's live into those uncomfortable places, knowing that the Lord, that love is our light and salvation, and that we as humankind are being grown into love. And so I say these ancient words. May the love of God, may the grace of our guide, Jesus Christ, may the fellowship and communion of the Holy Spirit rest and abide upon us, everyone.
And also with you, Ann.
Thank you, Beth. Now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
So we're going to finish with these guys. Thank you so much, you guys. So much. They're going to lead us in Fare Thee Well Upon Your Way.
Okay, let's do it.
Fare thee well upon your way, till we meet again someday. Take good care each day. Sorry, let's do that again. Take good care each day you start. Take the path you've chosen with your heart.